My mother didn't just side with my ex after he dumped me. She went into business with him, launched a podcast dissecting my breakup, and turned my promotion dinner into a branding opportunity. I'm 28. My name's Alina. Before anyone asks, no, my family wasn't chaotic growing up. That's what makes this worse. Everything always looked polished, controlled, functional. My mother, Mirela, is the kind of person who curates friendships the way other people curate outfits. If someone is impressive, visible, upward moving, she gravitates toward them. If they lose shine, she drifts. She calls it networking. I call it orbiting power. My father, Victor, is different. He doesn't chase visibility. He calculates leverage. He rarely raises his voice. When he does speak, it's measured, like he's drafting contracts in his head. He believes emotions are liabilities. My younger brother, Stefan, adapts to whichever one of them seems dominant in the moment. He mocks conflict but feeds off it. Then there's Darius. Darius was never loud. He didn't scream. He didn't cheat. He didn't throw things. He optimized. Everything was optimization. Body fat percentage, social media engagement, career positioning. Even conversations were performance metrics. When we were together, he would refresh Instagram during dinner and comment if my photo gained more traction than his. He'd smile while saying it, but it wasn't a joke. If I posted something spontaneous and it did well, that night he'd critique something about me. My posture, my ambition, my lack of direction. The breakup wasn't messy in the traditional sense. It was surgical. He invited me to dinner with two of his friends. Halfway through appetizers, he tapped his glass lightly and said, "I think it's important to align long-term visions publicly." I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He calmly listed why I wasn't aligned with his trajectory. Said I lacked strategic foresight. Said I plateaued. Said he needed someone who accelerated him, not someone who required maintenance. I sat there while his friends stared at their plates, pretending this was normal. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I walked out. A week later, he began posting vague reflections about breaking cycles of codependency. He never named me, but mutual friends started checking in with concerned tones. The narrative had already tilted. The part that gutted me wasn't him. It was Mirela. He forwarded me a message from her one night with no caption, just a screenshot and a laughing emoji. She had written to him privately, "If you ever need perspective, I know how intense she can be. I'm here." I remember staring at that sentence until the words blurred. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. "I refuse to villainize someone just because a relationship ended," she said. "You sided with him." I stayed neutral. Neutral. She said it like it was moral high ground. Months passed. I didn't cut anyone off. I limited contact. I stopped attending casual dinners. I avoided his name. If she brought him up, I left the room. Then I got promoted. It wasn't glamorous, but it mattered. It was the first time I'd been chosen over someone older, more experienced. I worked for it. I invited my family to dinner because I wanted one night that wasn't competitive or strategic. Just acknowledgement. They arrived 20 minutes late. Mirela was glued to her phone. Victor was scanning the wine list like he was auditing it. Stefan kept checking Snapchat under the table. I tried to ignore it. I told them about the new role, the additional responsibility, the fact that I'd be leading a team now. Mirela smiled thinly. "Leadership suits you if you don't take things personally." I pretended not to hear that. When dessert arrived, the server placed a plate in front of me with "congratulations" written in chocolate. I felt stupidly happy for a second. Then Mirela made this sharp intake of breath sound. "Oh right, I meant to mention." She rotated her phone toward me. It was a professional photograph, not a random selfie. Studio lighting, clean background. Darius and her sitting at a cocktail table, glasses midair, both dressed like they were in a campaign shoot. The caption read, "Excited to collaborate with visionary minds on what's next." There was a small tag under it labeling it as a business partnership. I blinked. "What is that?" She looked almost pleased. "We're working together." "Working how?" Victor answered instead of her. "Darius is investing in your mother's consulting expansion. He's providing branding strategy." I felt something shift in my chest. "You're financially tied to him?" Mirela's eyes hardened. "He sees potential. In you." "Yes. And you don't see a problem with that?" She tilted her head. "With what?" "With aligning yourself with someone who publicly dissected me like a failed project." Victor cut in, voice low. "Lower your tone." "Why?" I snapped. "Is this inconvenient timing?" Stefan sighed loudly. "This is supposed to be a celebration." I turned to him. Then maybe don't turn it into a PR reveal. Mirela leaned forward. Her voice dropped, tight and cutting. You don't get to interfere with my professional growth because you couldn't maintain emotional stability in a relationship. That hit hard. He dumped me like I was underperforming stock. Maybe that's how he felt, she shot back. So you reward him? I collaborate with competent people. There it was. I pushed my chair back so hard it scraped across the floor. You couldn't even wait until tomorrow? You had to announce this during my promotion dinner? She gave a small shrug. Timing is opportunity. Victor stood up slowly. You are creating a scene? No, I said, voice shaking but loud. You created a transaction and expected me to clap. He stared at me like I was being irrational. This partnership is strategic. I'm your daughter, and that doesn't entitle you to veto business decisions. The word veto, like I was a bored obstacle. I laughed, but it didn't sound sane. You know what's strategic? Not humiliating your own kid for optics. Stefan muttered. You always escalate everything. I rounded on him, because you always shrink when it matters. Mirela stood up now too. This is exactly why Darius said you resist growth. You can't handle not being the center. That sentence detonated something in me. You monetize proximity to whoever looks impressive and call it ambition. I fired back. You've been chasing relevance your entire life. Her face flushed. How dare you? How dare you bring him into our family business ecosystem like I'm disposable? Victor's voice rose for the first time. Enough. People were staring. I didn't care. You both chose him, I said. At my table. Victor looked at me with open irritation. You are jeopardizing a valuable alliance. Alliance, not relationship. Alliance. I left before I said something that would get me disowned on the spot. That night, she posted the photo publicly on Instagram with a long caption about building with bold thinkers. Comments flooded in. Applause. Fire emojis. Industry connections praising her expansion. Not one mention of me. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I withdrew. I removed myself from shared photo drives. I declined calendar invites Victor sent for family strategic planning dinners. I didn't show up to Stefan's casual hangout night. Before I tell you what happened in this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment and tell us what you think about the story and how you would react. I want to hear your thoughts. I didn't attend the networking brunch Mirela expected me at. When Victor emailed asking why I was being non-participatory, I didn't respond. 3 weeks of silence. Then Darius and Mirela launched a podcast. The cover art was minimalist, their faces side by side. The title was something about reinvention and resilience. Episode 1 described navigating difficult partnerships. He spoke about an ex who resisted self-improvement. Mirela added commentary about how painful it is to watch someone you love sabotage opportunity out of insecurity. They never said my name. They didn't need to. A coworker pulled me aside and said, I didn't know your mom was into media. An aunt messaged me on Facebook. Your mother sounds worried about you. Worried. I didn't scream this time. I started collecting old voice memos where Darius critiqued my body metrics like quarterly reports. Emails where he suggested I soften my personality in public settings. The screenshot of Mirela calling me intense. Dates. Context. I didn't blast them. I didn't warn anyone. Instead, I asked Victor to meet. Not at home. Not at a restaurant. At his office. He replied with a single line. Tomorrow. For PM, that's where it stands. I have a folder on my laptop labeled alignment. He thinks this is about emotion. It isn't. I'm walking into that meeting knowing exactly what they've built. And exactly what it's standing on. No one knows what I'm bringing with me. And no, I haven't decided how far I'm willing to go yet. Update 1. I met Victor at his office like he suggested. He chose the setting on purpose. Glass walls, minimalist furniture, everything quiet and controlled. His territory, his rules. He didn't offer coffee. He didn't ask how I was doing. He didn't acknowledge that we hadn't spoken properly in weeks. He just looked at me across his desk and said, what do you want? Not hello. Not why are you upset? What do you want? I sat down and put my bag on the chair beside me. I want you to pull your funding from the podcast. No build-up. No soft entry. He didn't react immediately. He leaned back in his chair like he was evaluating a proposal. No, that was it. You didn't even ask why. I don't need to. You're financially backing something that's built around reframing my breakup as a personality disorder. It's a business, he replied calmly. It's gaining traction. So this is about numbers. It's about scalability. I opened my folder and placed printed transcripts on his desk. Voice memos Darius sent me when we were together. Emails. Direct messages. Dates highlighted. Not emotional commentary. Just documentation. Victor glanced down at them, but but didn't touch them at first. He's using specific events from our relationship, I said. He's repackaging them as anonymous lessons. You're assuming intent. I recognize my own life when I hear it. He finally picked up one of the pages and scanned it. Couples argue, he said flatly. He's monetizing selective memory. You're not mentioned. That's the point. Victor's jaw tightened slightly. Not dramatic. Just enough for me to notice. Even if this is loosely inspired by your past relationship, you reacting publicly would damage all of us. All of us. There it was again. The collective reputation. So, I'm supposed to just sit quietly while they imply I'm unstable? I'm advising restraint. I laughed. It came out sharper than I intended. You're advising silence. I'm advising maturity. There it is, I said. Reduce it to my temperament. He folded his hands on the desk. You walked away from the family structure. You removed yourself. You don't get to demand influence now. That sentence hit differently. It wasn't about the podcast anymore. It was about power. He thinks because I stopped showing up, I forfeited leverage. I stood up. I'm not demanding influence. I'm informing you. Of what? That if this continues, I won't stay quiet. His eyes narrowed. Be careful. Or what? He didn't answer that. The silence stretched long enough to be deliberate. Then he said, you're letting emotion drive strategy. I leaned forward slightly. You're letting profit override loyalty. That's when his composure cracked just a little. Do not lecture me about loyalty. Then stop funding someone who humiliated me publicly. You humiliated yourself by storming out of that dinner. I felt my pulse in my throat. You ambushed me with a business announcement involving my ex at my promotion dinner. It was an efficient moment. Efficient. That word actually made me dizzy. You scheduled my humiliation. That is dramatic. No, I said evenly. That was calculated. He stood up, signaling the meeting was over. This conversation is unproductive because I won't play quiet daughter because you refuse to see scale. I grabbed the transcripts and slid them back into my folder. This isn't about scale. It's about narrative control.
He didn't respond.
I walked out without shaking his hand. 2 days later, Mirela called. Her tone wasn't explosive. It was composed, which is worse. You went behind my back to your father. I went directly to him. You tried to sabotage us. You're exploiting my history for engagement. There was a small pause. You're unstable, she said calmly. You always escalate. You're monetizing my breakup. You weren't even relevant to the episode. You described me. You inserted yourself. I could feel my voice rising. He referenced my career, my so-called stagnation. That came from our private conversations. You are not that important, Alina. That sentence landed hard. I saw red instantly. Then, why does your content mirror my timeline so precisely? You hear what you want to hear. You're rewriting events. No, she snapped now, losing the calm tone. I'm evolving past them, at my expense. She laughed. Actually laughed. At least I'm building something tangible. You drift from role to role and call it growth. That's when I yelled. You confuse visibility with substance. You confuse insecurity with insight, she shot back. You're attaching yourself to Darius because he's trending. He's disciplined. He's opportunistic. And you're bitter. I'm furious. I corrected. You're jealous. Of what? Being his co-host. Of being replaced. That hit lower than I expected. You think this is about him choosing you over me? You can't stand not being centered. You can't stand not being applauded. Her breathing got heavier through the phone. You have always resented my ambition. I resent that you weaponize it. Everything is a weapon to you. Everything is branding to you. We were both yelling now. She said I was emotionally volatile. I said she was ethically hollow. She told me I sabotage opportunity because I can't compete. I told her she competes with her own daughter. That one made her go quiet for half a second. Then she exploded. You have always needed conflict to feel significant. And you need audience validation to feel alive. You are exhausting. You are transactional. She hung up on me. I stood in my apartment shaking for a good 10 minutes. That night, the podcast Instagram posted a teaser clip. It was a short video. Before I tell you what happened in this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment and tell us what you think about the story and how you would react. I want to hear your thoughts. Mirela sitting in studio lighting saying, sometimes distance from certain people is necessary for your evolution. You can love someone and still outgrow their limitations. The comments were full of praise. People calling her strong, visionary, empowered. Then I noticed something else. Stefan had liked the post. Not just liked it. He commented, proud of this growth. I texted him immediately. Are you serious? He replied 5 minutes later. It's just content. It's about me. It's about perspective. You know exactly what they're implying. thing. You always assume everything is about you. You sat at that dinner, and you made it a scene. I called him. He answered, sounding annoyed. You didn't have to scream at them in public. They ambushed me. You overreacted. They're building a brand off my relationship. They're building a platform. You're defending them. I'm defending business. You're defending optics over blood. Stop making it dramatic. You've been silent while they reframe me because I don't see it as reframing. Of course you don't. Why does everything have to be a battlefield with you? Why does everything have to be a transaction with you? He sighed loudly. This is why people think you're intense. I laughed bitterly. People? Or Darius? You're proving their point, and you're proving mine. He hung up. The next morning, a colleague sent me a link to episode 2. This time, Darius talked about partners who resist optimization. He described someone who viewed constructive criticism as personal attack. Mirela added, some people interpret growth as abandonment. I didn't feel rage. I felt cornered. That's different. Rage is loud. Being cornered is cold. I opened my laptop and created a separate encrypted folder. I added every piece of communication I had from Darius. Audio files, emails, screenshots of him asking me to soften my personality publicly. Messages where he said he needed a partner who enhanced brand equity. I didn't post anything. I didn't comment on the podcast. I didn't argue on Instagram. I stopped waiting for them to stop. Victor thinks I'm emotional. Mirela thinks I'm jealous. Stefan thinks I'm dramatic. None of them think I'm strategic. That's fine. Update 2. I didn't post anything publicly after my last update. I didn't argue in comments. I didn't send angry messages. I didn't react to the podcast. I let them keep talking. Episode 3 dropped 2 weeks after my meeting with Victor. This one was different. Darius stopped being vague. He described a specific scenario. A girlfriend who weaponized professional milestones to compete with her partner. He described a promotion dinner where she turned a networking reveal into a meltdown. My promotion dinner, Mirela added. Sometimes when someone can't control the room, they try to destroy it. They didn't say my name. They didn't have to. Within hours, someone from work forwarded me the clip with a simple message. Is this about you? That was the moment something inside me settled. Not rage, not panic, clarity. I didn't confront them directly. I sent one email. Not emotional, not long. It went to Victor. Subject line. Final notice. I attached 3 things. An audio file of Darius telling me during our relationship that he planned to end things publicly because optics matter. An email from him months ago admitting he exaggerated events to protect brand narrative. A short written summary of how their podcast now directly references identifiable personal events. I wrote 1 paragraph under it. You funded content that knowingly distorts private events for public gain. If the next episode continues this direction, I will respond in kind. This is not a threat. It is alignment. He didn't reply. 2 days later, episode 4 was scheduled. The teaser dropped on Instagram. Mirela looking directly into the camera saying, you can't negotiate with people who live in victimhood. The caption, boundaries aren't cruelty. The comments were full of applause again. Then something unexpected happened. One of Darius' former colleagues commented publicly, interesting take. Is this the same situation you once described differently in 2022? It wasn't a big account, just someone from his industry, but it was enough. People started asking questions in the comments. Darius replied defensively, then deleted the reply. Then someone posted an old LinkedIn article he had written about handling breakups privately. The narrative started wobbling. I hadn't posted a single thing, but that email I sent Victor must have done something, because an hour before episode 4 was supposed to go live, the release was delayed. No explanation. That night, Victor called, not calm, not controlled, angry. What exactly are you trying to accomplish? I haven't done anything. You've been contacting people. I sent you documentation. You've created instability. You funded instability. You are jeopardizing contracts. They jeopardize themselves. His voice rose. You are behaving vindicatively. You are behaving transactionally. There was heavy breathing on the line. You think you're smarter than this? I think you underestimated me. You will regret this. Maybe, I said, but so will you. He hung up. 30 minutes later, Mirela called. She didn't ease into it. You contacted people. I contacted my father. You've been digging. You've been broadcasting. You are trying to destroy something we built. You built it on me. You are obsessed. You're exposed. Silence. Then she said it. You have always been threatened by me. That made me laugh. Not nicely. You built a brand off my breakup, and you think I'm threatened? You cannot stand that Darius and I work well together. I can't stand that you treat me like content. She started yelling, full volume. You are vindictive and small. You couldn't handle being outgrown, so now you want to burn everything. You couldn't handle not being central, so you inserted yourself into my relationship and branded it. You always needed drama to feel relevant. You always needed an audience to feel alive. We were both shouting over each other at that point. She accused me of professional sabotage. I accused her of ethical bankruptcy. She said I was proving the podcast right. I said she was proving me right. Finally, she said, if you take this any further, don't expect to walk back in. I haven't been inside in weeks. Don't twist this. I'm not twisting anything. She hung up. The next morning, the podcast account posted a statement. Due to unforeseen strategic restructuring, the reinvention series will be paused indefinitely. No explanation. Comments disabled. Darius' personal Instagram went private within the hour. Mirela deleted the teaser clips from her grid. Victor sent one final message. You've made your position clear. That was it. No apology. No reconciliation attempt. No negotiation. Stefan hasn't contacted me. There's no dramatic closure. Just silence. The podcast is gone. The collaboration is dissolved. The partnership never got publicly announced beyond those initial posts. Professionally, they're pretending it was a pivot. Privately, nothing has been repaired. I didn't post my evidence. I didn't go public. I didn't expose everything I have. I didn't need to. They know I could. And for the first time since that promotion dinner, they stopped talking about me. That's where it stands. The end. NTA. Your family literally turned your breakup into their side hustle and podcast content, then ambushed you at your own promotion dinner with a surprise. We're business besties with your ex now reveal. You didn't scream online, didn't leak the receipts, didn't make a scene on Maine. You just sent one calm, ice-cold cease or I respond in kind email with receipts attached, and their whole grift folded like a house of cards. Podcast paused. Collab dead. Silence. That's not drama. That's consequences delivered with surgical precision. They chose profit over daughter. You chose boundaries over begging. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got a story to share? Drop it in the comments and let us know which one was your favorite.